Welcome to Third Chances, a talk show where we like to hear from people who devoted their life to health, fitness, and wellness. Medical professionals, health coaches, and all the others who help us every day to cure our body, mind, or soul. Those who always look for more natural, holistic ways to help even more people to live a happier and healthier life. Those who don't like to give up easily and settle on you or themselves. It is never too late or too soon. I always believe that every one of us deserves not just a second chance, but as many as we need. I'm Vera, your host. Who better than a master of reinvention with an accent to guide you through it, right? Just like they say, you are not a tree, so move. And God knows I have done just that in my own life many times. If you are not completely happy with the direction your life is going, this show may help you get the courage to change what is needed, find a new path, and take charge. So come on over, pour yourself a glass of wine and spend some time with us. Let's laugh and cry together and get inspired by people just like you and me who overcame their own doubts and took a leap of faith to reinvent their life on their own terms. I hope and pray that we help you on that journey. And if you feel so compelled and inspired, please let us know. Don't be shy. Who knows? You may just be our next featured guest with another inspiring success story. So here we go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Third Chances. Today's guest is Robin Thomas. She worked for 25 years in medical research at the University of North Carolina. She then left to start her own wellness business in 2004 and founded Living Well Connections, a healthy living community in 2015. What a wonderful name to that business. Robin loves her husband and hiking buddy of 45 years, digging in a garden while barefoot, and her cat, Alfie. And Robin is a very pleasant human being, as you will very soon realize and know. And welcome to my podcast, Robin. Thank you so much for making time.
Oh, thank you so much, Vera. Thank you. I really appreciate you inviting me on.
Absolutely. Well, we are very much on the same page when it comes to living and healthy living. And I'm all curious about what led you to this point, because that was not always your career, even though you were in
Right.
medical field. And usually most of us came to realization later in life that our health is really our biggest wealth. And whatever we did up to that point needs to be changed. So I would love to hear your story, how you were attracted to medical field to begin with, and then what it led to what you're doing today.
Okay. Sometimes I feel like I've come full circle, so this is really fascinating to me.
It does.
I always, even in elementary school and high school, I always loved nature.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was out, spent my summers on the shore of a lake, just exploring, going, just loving nature. And my mother was the same way too. She taught me an awful lot about nature. I went to college. I decided to go in biology because of that nature and environmental processes and things. And I really thought I wanted to write. I wanted to write about nature and ecology and scientific things that was fun and easy to read. So I did that in my college career. When I graduated, though, I did start off with a fun job that was basically my job was at the beach. It was, how can you not like a job
Oh,
that's at the beach?
that sounds fabulous. Yes.
We were studying oil slicks and how the ocean has natural organisms that fight those oil slicks themselves.
Right.
But that career changed pretty quickly when a lot of those kinds of projects became unfunded for a while.
Mm.
during a certain administration in the government. So I went to healthcare. I went to work in the hospital situation, and actually I was in it was all medical research. I was um, doing benchtop research on a variety of things. I met my husband at college. He's a chemist. So biologists and chemists were quite nerdy.
Yeah.
We're very much nerds, but we both again love the outdoors. Have two sons who are now adults. Um, I was happy in the career I chose. We went to a number of things and actually even studied inflammation and how our bodies, especially in autoimmune diseases,
Yeah.
how our bodies get the immunity gets out of control and you start fighting yourself. You're fighting your own body. So I was in a laboratory that was studying that. Very interesting. At the same time, my younger son was challenged with his own health issues and with autoimmune disease. So it seemed like a great thing to be working on, but he just kept getting more and more sick.
I'm sorry.
And as time came on, and when he was about 10 years old, I realized that a lot was going on for him, and I realized I needed to leave my career. So there it is. Oops, the thing I dreamed, dreaming of doing, left the career and started homeschooling him. That's when I made a second. That was my second chance. That was my second chance to really help him and help the whole family. So I did decide to start my wellness business then, because it was something I could do from home. It was something I could do, and also was at the same time meeting people being in wellness, you start developing community.
Correct.
And I was searching for something for my son. So I know lots of people, it's their own health they're searching for. But for me, I was Mama Bear, searching for things that could help my son. And along the way, I did join up with a company, with a product company. And honestly, I was doing that because I trusted it and I wanted a way to work from home. That's why I did that. But the community I met there brought me out of straight allopathic medicine, where prescription goes for this, for one thing, to in more of the wellness mindset. And trying to find out what more of a functional medicine and what was really going on with my son, because of course it was a whole body phenomenon, and the way he was thinking and everything was going all together. So that was fabulous to meet people who really had ideas to, we worked to help him. And, some go down a dead end, but some actually really helped. So that was just like the light at the end of the tunnel. It was wonderful.
Yeah, that's the uniqueness of everybody that has, it's a complexity of the issue and uniqueness of every single body to deal with things that sometimes it needs a combination of. Yes. Yeah.
And in functional medicine, or if you're looking at nutritional or functional medicine, we begin to realize how much one thing has an effect on something that doesn't seem like it would be the same. Just as something as simple as the vagus nerve and how digestive issues can affect anxiety or affect your brain. I was insisting with the doctors I was talking to, I was insisting that something was going on that. They insisted that couldn't be. The stomach's different than the brain. So it's opening up. This is about 16 to 18 years ago or more. So a lot has changed in holistic health since then.
Yes.
Yeah,
isn't it a sad thing when you look at the traditional medicine? It's really about specializing in that field with not much concern about what it's causing to the rest of the body, while the holistic or the functional medicine looks at the body as a whole, because it's all energy, it's all connected, everything makes sense. And Yeah, it took me a really long time to realize that too, because I kept listening to doctors and going that way and that way, and it's not working.
They're the experts in what they do,
Exactly.
so they
Yeah.
need to listen.
Yeah.
And, that really happened with me because I was working with these doctors.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one of the things I saw working with them, they actually have a flow sheet. They have a guide, and almost every flow sheet goes to a different drug.
That's the training,
They
unfortunately.
ask their questions, they ask their set questions, and it goes. There is hope because integrative medicine is becoming more and more popular. I live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, a university town, and that's become very popular. So the medical doctors with the medical training also getting more holistic training and
Yeah.
beginning to think about the whole body. So that's a beginning. I hope really
Thank God.
does better,
Yeah, there's
keeps
much
going.
more awareness of everything that we are surrounded by, with starting with the food that we are being
Yeah,
propagandized to believe it's healthy and all these things.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
If it says healthy on the outside of a box,
exactly. Yeah. If it comes in a box, don't even look at it. Yeah. Unfortunately, but it's a very hard, and I don't know what you like. Well, first of all, how is your son today?
my son is doing much, much better. You have to realize he's now 34.
Hmm.
At 17 and 18 years old, he was not well at all
Yeah.
and and needed me by his bedside and was very, very, very anxious because he wasn't even digesting food well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It was like food would, yeah, I mean, to be explicit, but food was coming out undigested. So it was just awful. But that's when we finally found a functional neurologist.
Hmm.
And he had been put on so many different trials of prescriptions.
Yeah.
I have like a 4-page document where I've written all the side effects from all. So the next doctor that would tell me, "Oh no, we've already tried this." No, no. But what's worked best is more of dietary
Hmm.
issues. We found out that he cannot digest gluten. He doesn't have he has diabetes,
Yeah.
type 1 diabetes from an infancy, brain injury from that.
Hmm.
But he has we just found fairly recently, within 2 years, that he can't digest gluten. He doesn't have the genetic SNPs that help you do that. So been huge to be able to follow foods that not filled with gluten.
Yeah.
And
But
also,
luckily,
I really always sort of prime proponent of, I'm not going to dictate or tell people what diet to choose,
yeah.
because I don't really like the word diet anyway. But I say choose whole foods, that choose vegetables from the ground, choose fruits from the trees and the plants, and choose. And if you eat meat, just make sure it's usually from a smaller farm
Yeah.
or something like that.
Loaded with
Yeah,
hormones and
yeah,
other
yeah.
charms that we exposed our bodies to.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's really, it could be overwhelming for people. And look at you, you were actually in specialized labs studying these issues, and yet you had to go on journey to find the answers to help your own son. And
Absolutely.
so many people go through their whole life just going from one doctor to another looking for solutions, and it never even crossed their mind, because rarely it comes from doctors, to look at the entire lifestyle, what they do to, with the starting with the food they eat, and how they live, how you release stress, what you surround yourself
Exactly.
with. All these compact affects how you feel and what is happening in your body. And body sometimes give us very strong signals that something is not right, and we need to listen to it instead of putting band-aid over it. And
Right.
that's what the medicine sometimes do. It's, and I don't want to sound like I'm trashing doctors, because I'm not. And I have many friends that are doctors, and I think the critical care in Western medicine is absolutely fabulous when you are in danger of.
Absolutely. And I also, like I said, I worked with doctors. I love a
Yeah.
lot of doctors, but I love the fact that they're beginning, there is the ones that are
Yes.
open their minds to,
Yes.
yes, that can help, and or see, like I have the physicians we work with now, if I come up with something new and they just look and they say, if it does no harm, let's see if what can it do to help.
Right.
And, I like that support.
Yeah.
Having that
That's
support.
I really admire you that you made it center of your life. Of course, as a mom, it's important to you if your kid is not doing too well, and you just never gave up, and you just kept digging until you found something that worked, and kept trying and doing the best for your son. How about you? How did you grow through that journey, being at home and starting a business that you can do from home while taking care of him?
While taking care of him, it was tough. It was tough before I left my career. I mean, before I left the job, because here I was. We actually started homeschooling before I left the job.
Mhm. That's tough.
So it was, I
Yes.
had to set up assignments. My husband would stay home. In the morning, I would go in. I worked at the time, I worked a lot with dialysis labs and
Mhm.
working on inflammation, because you get a lot of inflammation when you're under dialysis. So I was working with those. And, their first shift is really, really early in the morning. So I would go into work at 4 a.m., leave assignments for my son. My husband would stay here until he had to go to work. And then I would come home. And then sometimes there was a time in the period where I would be at the lab doing my work and teaching algebra at the same time over the phone.
Yeah.
But we did our best to make it work, and it was a relief actually to have my own business. Now,
Mhm.
at first, I didn't put lots and lots of hours into it, because my hours were mostly caring for my son.
Yeah.
But that switched, and as he got better, as I discovered things that helped him, and he got better, I was able to put more time into the business. The other thing I had not realized, which is interesting, is how much better I was beginning to feel, because
Good.
I did not take care of myself
That's
when
good. I'm
I
assuming
was
you didn't have
working.
time. Yeah.
I didn't think I had time. I was
Yeah.
going in that early, and then I would grab a quick bite for lunch out of the vending machine. You can imagine the
Yeah.
healthy food I could get
Oh,
out of
yeah.
the vending machine. And I was just basically on automatic.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just going through things. So, and it's like I was feeling like I was getting old. Well, I wasn't getting that old. I was like 42, 40, 44, 42 to 44, but I felt much older then than I do now.
But your life was filled with a demanding career and demanding attention to put at home, and so it's very understandable that you would find it hard to take care of yourself on
Sure.
top of
Yeah.
it, because you have your priorities straight, and
Yeah. And I had
unfortunately.
another son to take care of too.
Right.
And he had
Yeah.
his
Eh,
activities and
yeah. And it's a sad part that sometimes our own health is the priority number last. And then luckily you caught it while it was still time. You didn't have to get to point that something hits you when it reminds you, okay, it's time for taking care of right now for you.
right.
So yeah, that's fabulous. I'm glad that that worked out well. And obviously now when he's adult, it doesn't require so much of your time to be on his side.
Not so much, but he still lives with us.
Okay. Yeah.
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 And a lot of the things, a lot of the lifestyle choices become habits.
Hmm.
And that's what I like to teach when people say, "Oh, I can't do all this." Well, just try one thing.
Yeah.
Try this now. Try drinking more water now
Mhm.
instead of sodas or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and then you'll start feeling better. And once you feel better, and that becomes a habit, then you add another healthy habit. That's really how I've had to do it for him too, because he had to learn a lot. It was very difficult for him to learn not to eat gluten.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Oh, for sure.
But other things too he's had to do. I mean, he manages his blood sugars too
Hmm.
now, but he's had with brain injury, he has no short-term memory, so it's had to be habits. It had to be things that he just does. Okay, I know how to do this.
But you press on a very important point, because sometimes people feel overwhelmed with all the advice out there, and
Mhm.
they just believe that they have to do it all at the same time, and they couldn't imagine, like, I wouldn't be able to go out, I wouldn't be able to, I can't do this, I can't do this. The stories we tell ourselves when the health is really the most important thing. And like you said, you can start adjusting a little bit at the time. You're still making progress, and
Yes.
it's more digestible when you create a new habit that becomes automatic, and then you add on to it than trying to change way too many things at the same time. And some people are overachievers, and they do.
Some
And
people that they do, they tell me they want to do that.
yeah.
They want to change everything. I said, okay, I think that's a small percentage of the population.
Mm, yeah.
I think most people do feel overwhelmed if they have to change everything. I would if I changed everything. When I think back on everything that I've changed in my life on just natural things of doing, I mean, even includes things like meditation. My son meditates every day.
Yeah.
He does better than I do at remembering to meditate every day. But
That's good. Yeah.
there's so many things you can do that really don't take a lot of time, but they have an awful lot of
Effect.
benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does your day look like today? Your typical day?
My typical day.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I I have a little morning routine that I do most days, but I really love to do some sort of stretching exercise, something first thing in the morning, if it's a walk or if it's Pilates or just some stretches kind
Mhm.
of thing, just as I to wake up. I drink my water, drink some water, and I then have a cup of tea, which I like green tea. And then I go and have a little private time of meditation, planning, um, affirmations, inspiration, kind of a little time and that's how I start my day.
Mhm.
And I probably don't shouldn't be spending as much time as I do on the computer, but I do most of my business and work is through the internet.
Yeah.
So there is time that, but I do love the fact that I have a garden, attached to my garden, attached to my house, and I'm able to, in good weather or even bad weather, go outside and enjoy that. I'm in North Carolina, so there's some days that I don't go out,
Mhm.
but in general, that's just such a great break. And walk away, step away from the computer, go outside, enjoy nature for a little
Yeah.
bit.
It's a
Yeah,
great,
and
the
so
greatest reset you can do for yourself. Yeah, we all spend way too much time in front of the screens in general. Yeah.
I think now it really, I mean, most of us, it's hard to get away from
Yeah.
because you reach out to people, it's through the computer
Yeah.
most of the time. But I
And
do make breaks through the day. I'm very careful about that.
that's so I was looking through, I was really intrigued with your community, and I would like to learn a little bit more about that. How does it look like? Because your Living Well connection is a healthy living community. Who is the ideal adept for that? Who you looking to
Well,
surround
I'll tell
yourself
you how
with?
it started. It
Mhm.
started when I first found different practitioners, more holistic practitioners that were helping my son.
Mhm.
And that was before you could really find them online.
Yeah.
You had to, it had to be word of mouth to find these people.
Mhm.
So I wanted to give back. I wanted, first of all, for the practitioners to get to know each other.
Right.
So I started the community with just practitioners. And I would have then a luncheon well, they started by making a lunch and inviting friends over and the practitioner to come and speak. And then it moved to having luncheons at restaurants.
Mhm.
And then COVID came and it went online. Somewhere in between that, I started a Facebook group for the community.
Mhm.
And I started adding the people who came to the luncheons wanted to be in the group.
Yeah.
And then they'd have friends who wanted to be in. So it's a group of people very interested in these topics. Uh, and some of them practitioners and some not. And also just interested in the support. We just finished a gratitude challenge, which was I just did a little meme or a prompt every day
Mhm.
just to help people think about it. And the idea is for people to get to know each other in this group, in this private group. It is private. I keep it heart centered and safe, a safe place,
Yeah.
safe haven, and it's free. It's free to join. I just it's really nice to have well, any of us on any kind of health journey to have positive support
Yeah.
and is just priceless. And so
Especially,
now, yeah,
especially when you may be surrounded by people who don't believe in more natural solutions. And I'm not saying it's answer to everything, but it should be way,
it
hand,
should be there
hand
should
to
be
hand
available to
together.
learn about.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm also saying, as you said earlier, everyone's individual. So I'm not saying everybody needs to do every single one of these things I bring
Right.
up
Right.
or that I have a speaker come and talk about. It's getting the knowledge out so people can choose for themselves
And
and
make
find
better
it.
choices. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's wonderful, like you said, that more and more practitioners are becoming aware of, the lifestyle is a big part of a healing process, and the drugs, leave you with side effects. So for me, it was always the drug should be the latest, the last solution to my problem if I don't find anything that is less risky, because every drug possesses a risk. Every drug has a side effect.
Every drug has a risk, and now that we can do some genetic testing, I have a couple of the practitioners, two or three in there, actually do genetic testing to find out. Now the data bank isn't endless, but
Mhm.
it's getting larger and larger, and they'll be able to tell someone before they have to do that trial. They'll see with the genetics whether they might be sensitive to greater side effects than others.
Yeah.
I have someone who's primarily a pharmacist who does this, and a couple of medical doctors who do this. They said it makes sense. It makes sense. Get a blood test, see the genetic makeup, and you can kind of tell on the drugs that have been tested
Yeah.
with this, and that then you'd avoid the ones.
Yeah, because exactly, because everybody has different response to certain drugs. And I, they all have same side effects, but it doesn't mean that you will have all those, but
No,
it depends on your genetic profile for sure. Yeah.
I saw
Fascinating.
this in I saw this in my family. So my mother's very sensitive to any prescription
Mhm.
medications, and she's 98 now,
Wow.
and she's learned over the years that if she is given a drug, they start at a very tiny, tiny dose.
Hmm.
So she's only at 98. She's only on about two, and I actually not been put on many drugs at all, but I have some. When I tend to be sensitive too, and my son tends to be extra sensitive. I think there's a genetic profile going down that way,
Yeah.
and we kind of knew that just by watching it, but then with testing, we found out, oh yeah, that's true. It's very
It's good
true.
that you have lab in your fingers that you can test different things, because that was your
Yeah,
profession. Yeah.
it's
No,
mostly all these wonderful people I've met.
it's
I have just that's I love Living Will Connections because everybody in there has a heart of gold, and there's lots of different talents there.
yeah. and bring the wealth of experience with them to, so it's always what I love about these activities are people have choices. And like you said, you don't have to follow all of it, but you can choose what's right approach for you and just be exposed to the information, what's available to you, as aside of just strictly medical intervention that could be always risky. That is always risky. Yeah.
I mean, and it's sometimes very necessary,
Yes,
but
of
it
course.
is just good to have your choices and guidance, a little bit of
Yeah.
guidance.
Fascinating. So if someone decides that this is something that they would love to explore and be part of, what do they do? How do they reach out?
Well, if they, two things. If they want to just take a look at the community and decide, it is on Facebook, but it's private. So, like I said, it's a safe haven in the Facebook. I have a site called livingwellconnections.info. And it is, I have a quick, very brief, just little video I gave, and it just talks about healthy living. But what talks about what's important is it's the community that helps.
Yeah.
So it's not dictating the habits or the healthy habits, but it's the community. And it's basically with their email, drop their email in on that page. They'll get an invitation to come into the community. I would love to have a conversation with them at some point. They feel comfortable to have a conversation with me.
Yeah.
Too. And I do have a calendar link I can share with people so they can find a time that works for them.
I can post all the links and contact information in the show notes so people can get it in writing. They don't have to take notes or something.
Exactly. So that make it easy.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's good to know if, what kind of people are the makeup of the group, what kind of what the mindset is when somebody like you, I'm assuming, I haven't seen it, but I'm assuming that you are not there to convince people that they have to start living healthy, because if you have your mindset, it's really hard to convince anybody of changes, but it's usually people that are already learned their lessons and they are looking to explore.
People are wanting it. Yeah, it's a natural progression. It's I mean, you can listen to my little video and read a little bit about it. And if you're curious, come on in. And if you find out in a month that like this, well, no, this doesn't interest me, then you can leave.
Yeah. So do you do any other services for people since you are a business?
Well, yes, I do something that helps practitioners. I will do a featured practitioner, which is a week long of really, and it's in the community, lifting the knowledge of the practitioner.
Right.
People are not wanting to listen to somebody for a long, long time, like at those luncheons, again, they're not doing that anymore, even when we had them online. And this is a way that they can get over the week bits of information and conversations with practitioner. So that's one thing I do. I help practitioners. Another thing I do is I do guide people through developing healthy habits, and I do use my product partner as a good resource. I also have the knowledge of recommending people. After a conversation, I'll think, oh, you need to talk to somebody who does more energy work than I do, or that kind of thing, because I have a good, like a library of people who I know.
Yeah.
I did start this year for the general public. I started my own podcast called it's a quick one, Over 40 and Fabulous.
Love it.
Love it, love it. And a little bit it alludes to the fact that I feel much, much better now, 25 years later than I did when I was 40.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think, just little bits. It says combination of me talking by myself and having guests come.
Yeah. I love this. This is, for me, it was, it also came later in life to start applying some changes and realizing how all these things that are rarely talked about make a difference in your health. And yeah, it took me 3 back surgeries to get there, unfortunately.
I think some, especially women, have the mindset of taking care of other people
Yeah,
and not the mindset of taking care of themselves.
which
And then you get to the point
you
that
did
like
as
3 back
well.
surgeries, you realize have to take care of yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I said was like, if body decide to stop you because you are not paying attention to symptoms. Yeah. I love the way that I open my world to this, to these,
Mhm.
that the people on the same page and everyone have their own approach to the, usually it started with something that happened in their own life that made them
Yes.
aware more and started opening their mind to other resources than just the lineup that we were brought up on.
Right.
And I too believe that we can age gracefully without the necessary aches and pains and sluggish and age without the medical pill box that is filled with pills that we have seen our parents do. And of course, now there are new things and new supplements and new technologies that can help you do that. And it just feels bad. It just feels sad for me that some people wouldn't even open their mind to it. They just
Yeah.
follow and, well, it's just the way it is, as I get older, this is gonna happen. And it doesn't have to be that way. So do you feel
It
that
doesn't.
people are open to search, to learn new things, to be improving their life lately than, let's say, 20 years ago?
Yes, I think so. I do think so. I think it's moving forward. And I think part of it is because even some of the people in the younger doctors in the medical field are realizing that. So it's like pushing that giant rock up the slope. It takes a while,
Yeah.
but I do see many more people looking at a more holistic approach, even if the holistic approach is changing some habits. It doesn't have to be dramatic at the beginning. Or I had a client just last week said, well, she heard my video on inflammation. And I said, you'll go to a doctor, and the doctor said, oh, this is just happening because you're getting older. That's
Yep,
all it is. When
exactly.
actually what's happening is they've developed chronic inflammation. And she said, I keep trying to tell my doctor that.
That's not how they study. Yeah,
No.
yeah, that's I know a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sometimes scary for people to go off the so-called reservation when everything needs to be
Yeah.
prescribed and agreed with the doctor. And paradoxically, the safer solutions may not require doctor's approval, but the ones that are
Right.
dangerous to our health more, as long as doctor signs of it, that's just
Yeah.
it's interesting change in perspectives on everything that you get surrounded by. And it sometimes takes something serious to happen when people start realizing that their health is actually in their own hands. And no matter how wonderful doctor is, that they may not have all the answers, that they are specializing in one thing, and maybe you need to take care of the rest. Because I felt after my first surgery, when they fixed me, I felt immediately, okay, doctors did what they needed to do. Now it's up to me to get back in shape and to get back to be 100% again. And I don't know where it came from, because I grew up in communist country. There was really, you don't question doctors. You don't
Mhm.
select your own doctor. It's just, you don't have much to say over your healthcare. But somehow it was in me. It was like, it's up to me now to get back in shape. And I did. And I was extremely good in, as far as like shortening the recovery time and everything.
Mhm.
But yet it still didn't teach me the lesson enough, because I got to the same issue 12 years later. But then you eventually get that message often enough to start
It's
realizing,
going to repeat until you get it.
yeah, it's not just to react to things, but you should be proactive, and you start looking at everything else that you do that may be causing issue like that. And it's complex, but it's like you said, you don't have to do tons of huge shifts and change everything overnight, and from sleep to, like, I can't start meditate because I'm so obsessed with.
Well, the fascinating thing is when you start one thing, it always makes the next one easier.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Well, you
And
also
if you try to
prove
start
to
three or
yourself.
five things at the same time, you're
Yeah.
getting this hard part
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Yeah, I think starting with one thing also helps you to prove it to yourself that it actually makes a difference, and makes the next step a little easier, because now you're approaching it with different mindset. Not like, I got to do this, but I got to do this. Let's see if it's gonna work. And there's tons of evidence and scientific proof that it absolutely does work. So you don't have to stay at the state you are. It's not out of your control. You can do little things daily that will improve your life and health long term. And something like that, like what you said, it's about little movement. And people believe you tell them how about little exercise, and they believe that they have to go to the gym and lift weights. No, you just start
No.
with walking, or whatever movement you do. You just move your joints, that good old advertising, body if motion stays in motion.
Now, one of the things with in Living Well Connections, if you join, you get a free gift, which is it's a PDF that I wrote
Mhm.
about different ways to start developing healthy habits. And it's little tips and tricks to get started with a habit. It's not saying what habit you're going to work on.
Yeah.
It just little tips like changing your environment a little bit, like the walking, taking walk. We'll just make sure your walking shoes are by the door so you don't have to go searching for them and decide, oh, well, I can't find them.
Yeah.
Little things like that.
Spend
They
time
may
in
be
nature like you do with
obvious.
gardening. Yeah.
Gardening.
And I read somewhere, I don't know if it was in your profile, gardening and barefoot, which is grounding. So
That's it. I love gardening barefoot.
yeah, except we have to watch out for pesticides.
Well, not in my yard.
Good.
My husband actually is an environmental chemist.
Hmm.
No pesticides in our house and in our yard
Yeah.
because
Oh,
because
yeah.
we have control over that in our yard.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's that's the thing when you start really following and researching more and more. There's so many different things that affects our health in a bad way, that again it may lead to overwhelm. So it is absolutely essential, if you are serious about changing your lifestyle and becoming healthier in the process, because it's a journey. It's not the magic pill you take and everything will be
So
sunshine.
true.
So I would encourage somebody who is looking for answers to join community like yours, because you are surrounded by people that are thinking the same way. There are doctors coming on that are giving advice that to their best knowledge, and it's the best way to shape your own opinion and ways, because not everything works the same for everybody else, and you find your own ideal way, but you will be surrounded by people who are on the same journey. So you don't have to answer your aunt Betty. It's like, come on, it's like just cake, it's like, don't overdo it. We only live once. And it's funny. I just made a post on LinkedIn the other day. It was like, why is it that we say we only live once, and it's usually followed by something really stupid that actually puts it in jeopardy? Isn't it funny? We are supposed to be the most intelligent species.
And then we do something risky.
Yeah. Yeah. In general, I think people
take care more of their cars than they would ever take care of their body. They
their
just
bodies.
don't relate to it the same way. I don't know.
No.
Yeah. So what is giving you the most joy when you're doing what you do today?
Well, the most joy I get is when somebody starts feeling better and having more energy. And however way we went to it together, or whatever I suggested, because the suggestions will be different according to the person. It's just when they come back and say, I really feel so much better. I had one woman who she had an autoimmune disease and was feeling really bad.
Mm.
And she didn't know. We talked about a number of options and things, and probiotics is always a good thing. And it wasn't that. It was something else that I offered for her. That she came back and it's like, I can't believe it. I haven't had a flare in in 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's just phenomenal. And it was a journey because we had to try different things. We had to try one thing. It's like, well, that's okay, but I'm still feeling a little bit, the same. So yeah, I just take the hand in the journey. And that just brings me great joy when someone's feeling better.
Yeah, I can believe you. Yeah. And I think it's the biggest mindset shift is from we were trained to respond to something and not just taking pill, but even maybe natural solutions and want a immediate gratification that it works, so-called. And to
See, and that
realize
is a
that,
situation.
yeah, to realize
There's still people out there who think, oh, if I do this one time, this is going to, what this vitamin is supposed to be good. So, oh, well, I took it for 3 days.
Yeah.
And it's not doing anything. Well,
it's not doing anything. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Or, you can think of anything, a walk, take one walk. Oh, well, I'm sore from the walk that you told me to take. I'm not feeling better. Well, you have to turn this into part of your lifestyle. You have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And maybe adjust, maybe not go as long or not as hard until you get back and not sore and then come back.
Right. Yeah.
It's a journey. You said it's definitely a journey, and people need to be patient, but they, and have faith that, what they're doing is there's a lot of data out there about what kind of habits are healthy habits.
And I would always remind them that, you didn't get where you are overnight either. So give your body a chance to rebuild what was built up over years of bad habits. And it takes time, but it's so worth it because we really only have this one life, and it's in our own interest to make it as best quality as possible, because I think we all, lately the buzzword is longevity. And I see people searching for the next magic pill or next magic tool or biohack or whatever. And the longevity doesn't just mean that we would live till 100, like your mom closely almost is, but in possibly good health. So we can actually live the life that we prolong.
Right.
We none of us imagine that we would like to spend the last 10, 15, God forbid, more years in a bed being dependent on somebody else. And that's the
it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
It does happen more often than not. And it's like, okay, so, how do you want your last 15 years? Do you want to feel pretty good?
Exactly.
Do you
Yeah.
want to feel pretty good, or do you want to be, I see these all the time. They're in bed, they can't get out of bed by themselves. It's a tough life.
And the thing is that so many new things are coming out that suggest that not even your genetic expression may have to stay the same, that there are ways to influence as deep down to your genes to be able to improve your prognosis of how your life is going to look like. It doesn't mean that when your ancestor had all the same disease that it's automatically will pass on you, because you don't live the same lifestyle they did. You may influence things only taking simple changes in your lifestyle that they didn't.
And that opens up a big, I mean, I could go on and on about that too, because yes, it's how we treat the genetics we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not, you know, because even when I was in research, it was still thought that once you got the human genome set, you would know exactly who was going to get breast cancer, who was going to get this. And it's not true. Lifestyle has much more of an influence than they ever realized at that time.
Yeah. Well, this is such a joy to speak with you. And I'm sure that people, you know, in your orbit are on a very different energy wave than most people that really go and just, you know, sometimes it's not a cliche when we say that the health is taken for granted. And we start paying attention to it when it's too late or when we get hit with some bad news. And I hope it wasn't so, but most of us just go through life and respond to things. And I think it's about time we start actively taking charge of how long and how healthy and how actively and happy we may live, because it's really in our hands. And there's not that much drastic changes that needs to be done. It's just start being aware and take maybe little bit at a time, like Robin suggests. Anything that you would like to part with that would make an impact to some people that may be thinking about their situation a little different right now because they spend this valuable time with us? Something that you would...
I really think, you know, you've touched on it. I think there is hope. There's always hope to improve your life. And it doesn't matter if you just, it's one thing. If you change one thing, that's a start. And I would love to talk with anyone who is interested and wants to figure out, well, what would that one thing be? Because like you said, there's things coming from all different directions. Try this, do this, whatever. I'd be happy to talk to you and let's find out. Let's get you started on just the right direction.
Yeah, and especially talk to somebody who knows what they are doing. You know, when you ask advice to your friends and family, they may not always know the best because they may be living the same lifestyle you do. So it is not always the most valuable advice that you can get. And you know,
So sometimes it just feels it's more of guiding them to come up with what they feel like they need to do. And I actually do have a healthy living circle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen those. That helps. That has a few simple questions to help figure out, oh, what would you like to work on first?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it all comes, you know, from community and emotional to digestive health, to, you know, all these things. And having a conversation around that is always good, to say, oh, people go, oh, yeah. It's sometimes the first thing they need is community to give them hope.
For sure. The support. Yeah. Support and encouragement, because it may be hard to change your mindset about certain things. But once you start seeing the results and once you start feeling better, like you said, suddenly more and more light opens up and healthy life becomes so much more enjoyable, because I had experience in my own life and with my loved ones when we had to cancel plans because of pain. We have to adjust things that we would like to do because it was not possible. And it's not, there is no need to live like that. There are always more tools available that can improve our life significantly, aside of medicine only, or surgery, or replacement parts, or you know, drastic steps like that. So I would just encourage everyone, if you like what we talked about today, and if you can resonate with Robin, I would encourage you to reach out and just explore what it may look like for you, because everybody is different and everybody needs little different things and everybody's situation is different. So it is not one glove fits all, and it definitely worth your time to figure out if there is hope for you. And I wholeheartedly believe that there is always hope for everyone who wants to find it. Well, thank you so much, Robin, for the great time we spent together. And like
Thank you. It's been delightful.
Thank you. And I will post all the contacts information to the show notes of the episode. So if you feel so compelled, please reach out to Robin and see what can be done for you. Let's live a happy, healthy, and long life together.
Yes. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to meeting you all.
Thank you so much, Robin. It was a pleasure.